everybody, it's Charlie from DM Sound, and today we've got the sound system demo on the 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander and its 12-speaker Yamaha Dynamic Sound Ultimate Sound System. This is going to be an in-depth review. We're going to take a look at how the infotainment system works, take a look at audio inputs, adjustments, controls, speaker locations, and then we're going to head out on the road and listen to these sample tracks while we're rolling, and I'll give you my thoughts at the end. Now, if you don't care about any of that stuff at the beginning and you just want to hear the music, click ahead in the video. We've got chapters to get you right to the tunes. And if you want to hear even more on this system, typically I'd say sign up below to become a Daily Motor member. However, I'm not going to get a chance to test this with members only requested tracks right now because this is a first drive event. This is the first time I'm listening to the system, but it's such a big deal that I wanted to bring this video to you all as quickly as possible. Now, once I get the car back for a proper week-long evaluation, I'll shoot a members only track and you'll have more opportunity to hear the system. But before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. Refreshed for 2025, the Mitsubishi Outlander. So we're seeing some subtle tweaks to the appearance of the vehicle and the interior and the feature set. But by and far, the most important aspect of the vehicle is this new Yamaha sound system. There are two different levels. There's an 8-speaker that comes standard on the vehicle. So even your basic $30,000 Outlander ES is getting an 8-speaker Yamaha tuned sound system. But then starting in the SE with the tech package, and then the SEL Premium here are getting this 12-speaker high-end Yamaha system. So if you do want to see more on the car, check the link below. We're going to have a little bit of first drive coverage as we're driving it around. But then, like I said, once we get it back at DMHQ, we'll have the whole suite of videos. Now, we always do these tests with lossless, uncompressed wave files on a USB stick plugged directly into the system, and high-quality Roland binaural microphones in both of my ears, giving you the most realistic audio system demo on YouTube. We also do the test with the sound settings set to their factory defaults. Let's take a look at those now. Now, I should say that that gentleman standing right over there laughing, looking toward us, he is what Yamaha calls the Sound Meister, who actually tuned this system with his ears and tried to recreate the best possible sound. And I just sat through more than an hour's worth of presentation by him talking about all of the work that went into developing this audio system in this car. And I gotta say, upon initial impressions, I am impressed. Typically, we go through and we sit through these presentations about new vehicles, and a lot of it is just mumbo jumbo. It's hype, it's marketing. However, it seems that this system is the real deal based on some of the technology that they've put in here. We're going to talk about it some once we look at it here in the infotainment system, but the hardware, even the materials used in the drivers and the position of the speakers, they even went so far as to do things like reinforce the doors so that they don't flex as much when the woofers down here are playing certain frequencies. So they took the existing Outlander and re-engineered actual hardware elements of it to make a better sound environment, because tuning a sound system is very difficult in a car. So when I go and I actually do this preliminary test here the standard way we do, if this system turns out to be as good as they claim it to be, I might do a whole separate video just talking about everything we learned about in the presentation. But for now, I need to experience it and just see if it's hype or if it's the real deal. So let's get in here, start looking at some of this infotainment. And this is what I mean. We don't have just standard treble, mid, range, and bass. So let's go up here to the sound settings, go to sound, and then first we do see treble, mid, range, and bass. So let's start off with those. And then below that, we have a subwoofer level adjustment. So let's go through that. Right now it's in the middle. And then below that, we have sound type. Now these are customized EQs that Yamaha has set up to ideally tune the sound for specific types of music. Now, I'll put up here on the screen what the different sound types are intended for, but from what I remember from the demonstration, which I kind of think that they should be putting some sort of explanation on the side, maybe they can do that in the future, although I am seeing this Yamaha sound mixing board behind, which is kind of a nice touch. But lively is supposed to be the most true to recording flat EQ. Powerful is going to mix, pick up the underneath, the bass tones essentially. Relaxing is going to drop the bass. And then signature is supposed to do a little bit of extra bass and a little bit lower treble, if I remember correctly. So we'll go through these 4 different sound types now. So we'll do most of our testing in lively, but I'll try to bounce between a few of the sound types. Then you have listening position. They've got 5 different listening positions that are going to focus and time the speakers and the sound right to those seats. So we've got all, driver, passenger, front, and rear. I'll go through all of them. We're on driver right now. I'll probably do most of my testing with driver today because theoretically that's going to create the best possible experience for me, but I am going to have a passenger for our on-road section, so I might do front and all as well. Then below that you have surround adjustment, off, low, and high. Let's go through those. Now, here's how I can tell the system was developed by true audio enthusiasts, because myself included, sometimes it's fun to have a little bit of surround, but I don't want it to sacrifice the audio quality and make it sound hollow and artificial. So notice how subtle the difference is between off and low. Most of our testing will be done with surround off, but again, I might try to play around with it. Then, this is where it gets pretty cool. We have 5 different levels of speed compensated volume. So many vehicles have normal speed compensated volume where as you get going faster, the volume of the music lifts up to compensate for wind, engine, and road noise. More advanced systems will have more dynamic compensation where it simply doesn't raise the volume, it actually adjusts the EQ. That's what this system does. But it has 5 different levels. You have off, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5 are actually intended for off-road settings. So if you're driving off-road where you're gonna have a lot of that bass coming through the car from the off-road driving environment, that's what 4 and 5 are intended for. But the Soundmeister, the developer himself, told me he recommends 2. So that's what we're gonna test with. Then, these are 2 elements that no other North American market vehicle has. Rain compensated volume and AC compensated volume. Rain compensated volume on 1 or 2 is actually going to lift up the mids and the highs to compensate for the sound of rain coming on the vehicle, as well as the sound of the windshield wipers. Never before seen something that Yamaha felt was important for this vehicle. And then AC compensated volume. So when you're running the air conditioning and you have the sound of air coming through these open vents right in front of you here, it actually adjusts the EQ again to compensate for that. That's so cool. I'm going to have it on. I'm going to have it on because we're going to be driving in LA sunshine here, and my passenger's probably going to want the air conditioning running as we drive, so why not utilize that? Very, very cool. And then on top of all that, you have standard front, rear, left, right, fader, and balance. Nothing too surprising there. So tell me that you've ever seen those levels of sound system involvement. And this is essentially a $40,000 car that you can get this sound system in. I think that's really cool. I'm excited about that. So that's all for audio adjustments. For audio controls in the Outlander, we have a nice volume knob here. Got good clicks, it looks good, feels good, easy to reach for both the driver and passenger. We also have volume clicks on the left side of the steering wheel. For track selection, we've got physical controls flanking the volume knob. We can use the touchscreen on the proper menu, and we've got physical controls on the left side of the steering wheel right by the volume control. For audio inputs, we've got standard AM, FM, Sirius XM satellite radio, and I should mention that Sirius XM 360L comes standard in this car. Bluetooth, support for wired and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and 2 USB-C ports. So what does that mean you're missing? Well, unfortunately, there's no 3.5mm auxiliary input jack and no disc player. Now, I asked the sound system developer if there hadn't been any talk about putting a CD player in here, and he pretty much said not really. He said that they tested the system using CD initially, because that's the highest quality audio right there, but USB is going to be the best way to get your hi-fi audio in, or at least using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, that's going to use a Wi-Fi connection for your high bitrate streaming services. I would like to see some sort of 3.5mm auxiliary input on here. I feel like that would be a good way to get hi-fi audio, but alas, that's what we've got. Speaker locations. As I said, this is the 12 speaker system, and we've got a pretty cool setup here. So, down here in the doors, you've got woofers, and then mid-rangers and tweeters. They actually call the mid-rangers squawkers, and I've never heard that, but that kind of makes sense. You got a tweet, a squawk, and a woof right there. So 1, 2, 3. We've also got a squawk mid-range there in the center. 4, 5, 6, 7 over on the other side. Coming into the back, you're looking at 8 woofer, 9 tweeter, 10 woofer, 11 tweeter, and then opening up the lift gate, we've got a big subwoofer back here giving us 12. And I will show you the little diagram of all the speakers up here in front of us and their sizes, and also a good opportunity. I don't usually mention wattage, but this system does carry some serious wattage, just over 1,600 watts. So very serious power. All right. Now, typically, we test 5.1 surround sound audio, and I'm going to do that as well here. However, I've already asked if it supports it, and the audio engineer said no. And I understand why. Most people don't use 5.1 audio, so I can't exactly blame them. I'm just curious how it's going to downmix right here. So if we use the immersiveaudioalbum.com demo track, is it going to downmix to stereo properly?
Test. Left. Center. Right. Left surround. Right surround. LFE.
Okay, so it does downmix properly. So if you do have 5.1 music that you're listening to, it is going to downmix properly. Glad to hear that. Okay, I think with that, it's time to get this thing out on the road. Yamaha and Mitsubishi had no business going as hard as they did on this sound system. I mean, it's really incredible. I've listened to these tracks, not exaggerating, thousands of times, because it's not only all of the systems I've tested, but then all of the times I've edited those videos, and then all of the times I've gone back through those videos in order to create timestamps. I mean, you have to realize how many different times I've heard every single one of these tracks played in high fidelity quality. It takes a six-figure sound system easily to ace every one of these songs and to replicate the sounds, especially at the volumes we listen to. I mean, we're here on this first drive event. Sometimes I'm feeling for my drive partner here that I'm having to turn the music up so much, but it's because I have to test at these levels that allow the elements to come through, and also stress test the system a little bit. I mean, how many systems do we listen to this song and we hear it start to crack and fall apart when all the different instruments come through? But the way that Yamaha has engineered their speakers and the materials they've used, the placement, everything, I haven't gotten this system to stumble. Now, listening to some of our members-only tracks earlier and kind of pre-evaluating the system before this test, I've found criticisms, but they're not flaws, and I hope you understand the difference there. I mean, I'm just talking about if we were comparing this to something like a Rolls-Royce, what would I want to see and hear, and what am I losing on the system? Yeah, there's a little bit of a height to the sound system that I'm not getting out of this, but for these tracks that we're testing, absolutely fantastic. For this next track, we are going to turn the bass all the way up. I'm really curious what we're going to get out of this 1600 watt system. So already very, very strong. We'll go bass up and subwoofer up. I mean, I'm getting mirror shakeage, and I'm still getting a fidelity coming through in front of us, and that is because Yamaha actually uses two different amplifiers, one for the low frequencies and one for the mids and highs. So when I turn this up, I'm not getting any distortion in the ups because it's a separate amplifier. I mean, that's pretty cool. Last track we'll do the driver listening position, so it's going to be focused just on me here. Listen to the tightness of that snare drum sound in there. My thoughts on the 12-speaker Yamaha Ultimate system here in the 25 Mitsubishi Outlander. It just really is that good. How many new sound system manufacturers have we seen hit the market in the last half decade or so. We saw Macintosh in the Jeeps. We saw Klipsch here in the Infinities and the Nissans and the Ram. Oh, there's a motorcycle coming quite quickly. I'm going to make sure not to hit him. We have seen, what was the other? Sonus Faber in the Maseratis. Those have all been more or less hype. I mean, we see the name, they come in with this big splash, and there's maybe a slide in the new vehicle presentation or something, and that's it. This, like I said, we had over an hour presentation actually hearing about the work that Yamaha put into the system for a $45,000 compact midsize crossover here from Mitsubishi. And I am so happy to tell you that it's not just all hype. It really is that good of a sound system. Is this the best I've ever heard? No. And the only element of that is we were listening to some music before recording this, and I'll put the link below to it so you all can hear it as well. The only thing that this system feels at least somewhat hampered by is simply its speaker count and the fact that you're not getting a very tall sound. It's a very precise, crisp audiophile style sound profile, and I respect that. It's very, very good. By far the most impressive aspect is its sound replication and the fact that all of the instruments are coming through so impressively and so powerfully. Really, I'm putting it up in the same category as the top 5 or 10 best sound systems I've ever tested. I mean, we're talking Cadillac Escalade with the 36 speaker AKG. We're talking Mercedes S-Class with the Burmester 4D. And we're talking Volvo XC90 and the 60 and 90 series cars with the Bowers and Wilkins. Really that impressive. And if this car costs $90,000 as opposed to $45,000, I bet you Yamaha could make absolutely the best sound system I've ever heard in a vehicle. I mean, it really, really is that good. And I think once I get this car back at DMHQ, we'll have to do a whole breakdown on what makes the sound system that good. But this is getting an S. It's an S-tier sound system. It really is that impressive. You all know I would be happy to tear it apart. Well, I wouldn't be happy because Yamaha is a very important brand to me. I've always appreciated them from both the motorsports perspective and the audio perspective, but I'm really happy that Mitsubishi didn't simply pair up with Yamaha here and slap their name on some speakers and then try to sell the vehicle. I mean, this really is that impressive. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the system, check the link below. I don't know how I'm going to format the different videos that I tested in terms of the copyright music that I usually save just for members. I might give a little sneak peek to the general public here. And if you want to see more on the Outlander in general, check the link below for our first drive review as well. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from DM Sound, and as always, drive on.
There's something in it that's so beautiful. And I can see the light.